Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2025-26 New Coordinator Training Webinar Series from the California Department of Education. My name is Paul Valencia, and I am the producer for today's webinar. And today we're going to focus on completion, tracking, and security. Before I turn it over to our presenters, let's go over a few housekeeping items. First up, all participants are muted. And in order to submit your questions during the presentation, please use the Q&A feature in Zoom. Please do not confuse this with the chat. For all the webinars, we only use the Q&A feature. Second, a copy of today's resource guide was sent to you via email. And if you didn't receive it, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat. And you click on the link and it'll take you to a folder, and there you can download the guide. Also, there's a PowerPoint for attendees. Hopefully you can access that as well, and you'll have to download that into your own Google Drive. Just keep in mind that there's no edit access from the link we shared, so you have to save your own copy. And lastly, we are recording today's presentation, and we're going to archive it probably in about a week or so. We have to make sure that it's accessible. And what you'll do is go to the upcoming and on-demand trainings webpage on the CAASPP and ELPAC website, and it'll be located there. Of course, I'll send out an email with the link as well. All righty, with that, let's go ahead and get started. And let me introduce today's expert panelists. We have with us Aaron Gordon from San Diego County Office of Education and Joe Valero from Fresno County Superintendent of Schools.
All right, thank you, Paul. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you are staying dry out there wherever you are in California. I know it's a little spotty out here. We're getting, what is it? We are getting teased with a little bit of sunshine, and then boom, we start getting some rain down here. So hopefully you guys are dry out there. All right, so let's get into today's agenda. So our agenda aligns with the success criteria for this webinar. So once again, let's take a look at the things we're going to be able to do at the end of this session. So you will understand security, the types of test incidents, how to report them, and documentation. We're also going to get into monitoring testing, the types of test completion monitoring that you'll be able to do during testing. You're also going to get some homework at the end of the day, and then you'll have some time to get some answers to your questions. We also want to take a minute to talk about some of the valuable resources for 25-26. The following pieces are included in the new coordinator training as asynchronous or on-demand pre-work. The pre-work is optional and is meant for those who need additional information. Pre-work includes 2 asynchronous videos included with the new coordinator training video playlist, or sometimes you'll hear us refer to it as NCT playlist. The first video, it's called Resources, and it covers agencies, websites, manuals, flyers, and other deliverables to support coordination. The other video is the coordinator role, and that covers the LEA coordinator as well as site level and test administrator levels. And there's additional pre-work from past training videos. So you'll have Assessment 101 videos, which give the who, what, when, why, and how of each assessment. And we also have the Introduction to California Educator Reporting System. You probably always hear it as CERS. And those are recorded trainings, which took place in the summer and the fall. And so how do you get those? Well, actually, let's see how good I am if I can minimize this. Here we go. Okay, how do you access those videos? Well, when you're on YouTube, you'll notice that there's the CAASPP and ELPAC. So I'm actually going to search for that. And I highly, highly encourage that you save those in your on your YouTube page. So once again, if I just type in CAASPP ELPAC, you're going to see right here popping up CAASPP and ELPAC. And this is where our colleagues at the California Department of Education and ETS, they post a lot of the videos that have been recorded. And so I'm actually going to click in there. And once I click in, once again, notice all of the videos that have ever, not all, but videos that have been recorded, excuse me, they're posted here. And so we're talking about NCT or new coordinator playlists. And so once again, I'm on CAASPP and ELPAC. When I go to playlists, this is where, when you scroll down, you're going to see, once again, what's being recorded over time. And so I'm actually going to come down and you're going to eventually see the new coordinator training series. And so when I click on new, whoops, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I don't want to actually play it yet. But if I scroll down, you're going to see pre-work. And so I can actually click on those pre-work. And I've actually clicked on them a lot, even though we've been doing this for a few years. It's just always one of those, I'm always worried that I'm going to forget something or something's going to slip by me. So I'm always going back and watching these videos. So you'll be able to access them through, once again, this page right here. I highly encourage, though, one more time, save that page. So notice I'm actually subscribed to it. And so when you click on the subscription, you can actually see I'm subscribed, and here are all the videos and playlists from our colleagues at the California Department of Education and ETS right here on this page. There's also a link to it, I believe, in your resource guide as well. Now let's see how good I am. Can I get this presentation back up and be seamless? Nope, sorry, I failed already. Here we go, new coordinator support. We were talking about that. All right, so here we go. The rest of the new coordinator training program is a series of monthly webinars designed to give just-in-time information. These 11 webinars will be spread out across the year. The list of full sessions is in your resource guide, but let's review what's coming up. Today, we're focusing on completion, tracking, and security. And then in April, we'll have a session about gathering feedback and preparing to receive scores. Before we jump into today's topics, we want to remind everyone about a few excellent resources for coordinators. Links to these resources are in your resource guide. The first are the coordinator checklists. There are checklists for both CAASPP and ELPAC LEA coordinators, as well as checklists for other roles as well. Each checklist includes an extensive list of tasks and activities that are part of your new role. The tasks are listed by month, where they are most likely to occur. But remember, some tasks may occur in other months depending on your local schedules and plans. Well, no worries. They're created in Microsoft Word, so you can actually go over and customize them and move things around to better meet the needs of your LEA. And once again, once again about different timelines, you can go over and change things around, move things around. But for the most part, the things in there are when they're most likely to occur. The second is the Coordinator How-To Hub. This will be a page on the CAASPP and ELPAC website that collects all existing how-to resources and organizes them by time and by topic. If you're ever stuck on how to do something, it's a great place to start. And lastly, for any other questions, please reach out to your success agents. If you need help finding your success agent, you may use the lookup tool linked in your resource guide. Our colleagues over at ETS are great resources and great people to go over and reach out to. All right. We want to start the session with the topic of security. Maintaining test security is one of your top priorities as an LEA coordinator. We're going to share information about secure materials, types of security incidents, and STAIR's appeals process. It is essential for LEA coordinators to understand test security information and incorporate it into training materials for test site coordinators, test administrators, and test examiners. Before we discuss security incidents and how to respond to them, let's take a moment to review examples of secure materials. All information on the student's screen during computerized testing is considered secure. No screenshots or pictures should be taken of student screens. The item security and information bar on the bottom screen can be decoded and tracked if someone takes a picture of the screen and posts it on social media or online. I'm not going to say whether we were guilty or not of that in one of my organizations, but you know, it's very sophisticated how it could be tracked back to the actual test administration. There's also materials outside of the online test delivery system that are secure. Directions for administration, or DFAs, downloaded via TOMS, are considered secure. Think about it this way. If you have to use your single sign-on, you have to log into something to download whatever materials they are. They're more than likely secure. Alternate ELPAC picture cards are also secure as well. Writing answer books for ELPAC and special paper forms for smarter balance, such as Braille or large print, are also secure. Completed ELPAC K2 student writing response sheets used for remote testing are also secure. Let me do that again. Completed ELPAC K2 student writing response sheets, used for remote testing. Those are also considered secure since the documents contain student responses to test items. All secure materials must be kept in secure and locked locations when not in use during test sessions. For example, make sure that a key for a cabinet is secured when you're locking things away. The ELPAC K2 writing answer books will need to be securely stored until they are returned to ETS for scoring. Student logon information and used scratch paper are also secure as well. And so if the background wasn't on me right now, you'd probably see a cabinet behind me with a little locked door. That's where we're able to go over and lock our secure materials as well when we have our writing materials and anything we want to keep secure. Even sometimes when we're collecting student responses or scratch paper at the end of a testing session, we lock those away. So I have my actual, I keep pointing back here like you guys can see, but we have our cabinets as well. Main thing is make sure that it's lockable. And I don't know if I just created a word right there, lockable. I don't know. Aaron, you're gonna have to help me if that's a real word or not. It is the responsibility of the test site coordinator to make sure all secure materials are destroyed after testing has occurred. Make sure you develop a plan for collection and destruction prior to testing. This includes documents such as DFAs. Remember, DFAs are directions for administration, picture cards, student logon information, and any scratch paper used by students. If a test examiner used a digital version, a test site coordinator would make sure to train test examiners to securely delete the electronic file from the test examiner's computer, even making sure that the file's deleted from the recycle bin. I'm always guilty of that. I'm over here thinking, yep, I went over, I dragged it in, I deleted it. No, not yet. We got to go into the recycle bin and then empty that out as well. So make sure that we're getting rid of all of those materials, whether they're physical or whether they are digital as well. Annually, at the close of the summative ELPAC window, you will complete a secure destruction of the ELPAC and alternate ELPAC test materials certification, indicating that your LEA has either securely destroyed test materials locally or that you are returning materials to ETS for destruction. For instructions and more information, there is a link to the CAASPP and ELPAC online test administration manuals in your resource guide. As testing occurs, issues may arise due to a variety of testing incidents ranging from mild to severe. Let's take a moment to briefly review the 3 types of test security incidents. By the way, there's going to be a quiz at the end. No, I'm just kidding. There's not going to be a quiz. So what are the 3 types? The first, impropriety or improprieties, which are the lowest of the security incident level. These incidents have low risk of affecting student performance, test security, or test validity. Examples include disruptions to the test session, such as a fire drill. These incidents should be mitigated by school staff and must be reported in STARS within 24 hours and may or may not require an appeal. A test irregularity is an unusual circumstance that may affect student performance, test security, or test validity. Examples include leaving related instructional materials on the wall or an instance of student cheating. These incidents also must be reported within 24 hours via STARS and may or may not require an appeal. The most severe type of security incident is a breach. This type of incident threatens the validity of the test itself and requires an immediate report within 24 hours via STARS, as well as contacting your ETS success agent if the breach is due to social media exposure on part of a student or adult or due to media coverage of an administration. The Identifying Testing Incidents webpage of the CAASPP and ELPAC Online Test Administration Manuals, or TAMs, includes the 3 types of test security incidents that may occur. As you report a test security incident in STARS, you may refer to the TAMs as a resource for categorizing the incident. In addition, the STARS Appeals Guide is available as a helpful resource to support you in submitting and managing incidents and appeals. The link is in your resource guide. Now remember, I kind of joked, I said, hey, there's going to be a quiz at the end, because you know what? Yes, you have breaches, you have improprieties, and you have test irregularities, and you're probably saying to yourself, oh my gosh, which ones were those again? Well, how do we get to information for that? Once again, let me minimize this. And we were talking about the test administration manual. And so I'm actually magically here. Let me actually go back just a little further just to show how I got here. So how do we get to the test administration manual? Remember, I'm on the CAASPP ELPAC webpage. If I go to the very top and I go to resources, notice it's going to give me all of the different resource types that pop up. And if I move my cursor over to the far right side, you're going to see the manuals library. So if I click on the manuals library, here they all are. Here is the test administration manual, and we're looking at the CAASPP, STARS user guide, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go too deep into all these, but if I click into the test administration manual, here we go, it's popping up, and we're talking about test security. So here we go, test security. And now it's going to open up with an overview. And so specifically here, we're talking about the identifying testing incidents. So if I click on it, here we go. And so once again, it'll give you the overview of what each one is. One more time, I'm scrolling down. So here's an impropriety. It'll even give you a few examples: irregularity and a breach. It's hard for me to go over and remember what each one is. Even though we're constantly in these systems, it's just one of those. Sometimes I'm not too sure, so I will always go back to either this particular resource, or I will also go to the, let me see if I can actually go back, the STARS and Appeals Guide. That's also another really great resource. So once again, they already live on the CAASPP-ELPAC website. Highly encourage going over, using these manuals. Your best friend sometimes is going to be Control F if you're a PC person. If you're an Apple person, I believe it's Command F. That way you can go over and type in certain keywords you want to look for as you're going through these manuals. So that's just one thing that I'm constantly going over and use these manuals, but use the control features as well. So let me see how good I am at going over and getting back to the current slide. Here we go. Not as bad this time. Now that we've discussed secure materials, let's talk about test security incidents and how to report them. Remember, STARS stands for Security and Test Administration Incident Reporting System. That's a great one, right? So when you're at a party later on this week, you can tell everybody, hey, I know what STARS stands for. Security and Test Administration Incident Reporting System. The online STARS system, located under the STARS tab in TOMS, is the starting point for coordinators to report a test security incident or other testing issue that interferes with the administration and completion of the assessment. While both LEA coordinators and site coordinators can file STARS cases, ensure that the LEA coordinator establishes policies and procedures detailing the handling of STARS matters, and ensure all your site coordinators are familiar with whatever that process is going to be. And just keep in mind, it's going to look different. It will not look the same for every single organization. Some organizations are enormous. That process is going to look different compared to maybe a single school district or maybe one that has a few schools. So it's not a one size fits all. Oh, also, please keep in mind that STARS is not used to report incidents that occur with the interim assessments. These incidents should be handled at the local level. So once again, we're not talking about STARS and using it for interim assessments. We're talking about the summative assessments here. LEA coordinators must ensure that all test security incidents are documented by means of the stairs and appeals process. If necessary, after the incident is reported, TOMS will immediately prompt the filing of an appeal if that is the appropriate action. An appeal is an action that changes the state of an online assessment. So, for example, one type of appeal is the request to reopen an expired test. Appeals are either approved or denied within 4 business days of submittal. Also, an important reminder is that LEAs should ensure they leave enough time when submitting stairs cases for appeals to process before the end of their testing window. So be very cautious, know what your window is towards the very end. LEA coordinators are also able to look up and review stairs and appeal submissions. Oftentimes, CDE or ETS will communicate with coordinators to either ask questions or verify information regarding submitted stairs incidents. For prompt action, it's important to ensure that communications generated by the email address ca-assessments@ets.org are not automatically sent to the junk mail or spam folder. So make sure you work with your colleagues in technology to make sure that that is whitelisted. You don't want those going to your junk mail folder. And so, once again, it's one of those, you have so many different relationships that you're working with. This was one example. Again, we're talking about make sure that you have a relationship with your technology person. Make sure that everything's going to be coming through. You don't want to miss any of these emails as you're filing those stairs appeals. The other people you're going to want to make sure you have a great relationship with are your site coordinators as well. What is this going to look like? What is that process going to look like? Once again, I have a couple of different examples in even the job that I've done, because in my previous organization, it was larger. The site coordinators were the ones that were going over and filing the stairs appeal, but we were in communication about what was going to be filed. And then over here, where it's a little smaller, we're the ones that are typically going over and filing those stairs appeals as they're coming over to us. But it's really important to have that information you need. So, but there's a thoughtful way to go over and get that information without oversharing as well, because we want to make sure we're protecting student information. So as we mentioned, an appeal is an action that changes the state of an online assessment. So let's talk about the most common types of appeals. First, it's the reset appeal. A reset appeal will remove students' answers from the test delivery system, or TDS, or will remove entries into the data entry interface, or DEI, and will allow the student to retest. So those are the reset appeals. Some applicable conditions for reset appeals are, let's say there was an administration of a test or tests with incorrect accessibility resources. Maybe there was an incorrect domain exemption or alternate assessment. Maybe it was administrative errors when administering the tests, or maybe you just administered the wrong test. So that's where you would want to go over and file a reset appeal. Next is the reopen appeal. Reopening an assessment allows a student to access a test that has already been submitted or has expired. Reopen appeals will only allow a student to pick up from where they left off and will not allow a student to return to previous submitted responses. I'm going to be honest, that's probably one of the most prevalent ones. Even us over here with our local schools that we test over here, we've had to file a few reopen appeals because things happen and the test expired, and so it was a matter of going over and getting that reopened. Then we have the invalidate appeals. An invalidate appeal is used when there are concerns about the validity of students' test responses. This can include situations where a student may have cheated. Invalidate appeals are only for CAASPP summative assessments. Students whose tests are invalidated will receive a score on their student score report with a notation that an irregularity may have occurred. However, an invalidated score will not be included in aggregations on the test results for California Assessment's website and will not be counted as participating for accountability purposes. If you accidentally submit an appeal to reset a test, there is an appeal for that. It's kind of funny, right? If you accidentally submit an appeal to reset a test, There's an appeal for that too. It's called a restore, which will return an exam back to the test's prior status. A grace period extension appeal is reserved solely for situations where the 20-minute pause rule, excuse me, let me do that again. A grace period extension appeal is reserved solely for situations where the 20-minute pause rule expired because of circumstances beyond the control of the test administrator or examiner. This could include situations such as a fire drill, internet outage, or a health emergency. For a full and detailed explanation, please refer to the link in your resource guide that will take you to the appeals definitions page. Now let's talk about accessing stairs and TOMS and how to report test security incidents. There are some things you need to know and some things you need to do when it comes to stairs. Before you submit a stairs form, you'll need to know the who, the what, and the when, meaning SSIDs and grade level of students impacted with the specific test or domain that was affected and the date the incident occurred. You also need to be able to summarize and describe the incident clearly. For ELPAC submissions, one difference from CAASPP is that you'll be asked to enter a plan of action for preventing security issues in the future. Within 24 hours of the occurrence, the coordinator's responsibility is to gather all the information of the test incident, log on to TOMS, select stairs from that blue bar up on top or navigation menu, and then enter the incident report. As a reminder, stairs is not used to report incidents that occur with the interim assessments. Once again, we're talking about summative assessments right here. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Erin.
Took me a while to find the mute button.
I was going to say, I felt like there was like a drum roll.
I know, I was yeah. Anyway, let me get situated here.
No, you're
Oh
totally
my gosh. Okay, well, I'm Erin Gordon. Happy to be here with my buddy Joe. Always fun to present with Joe. I'm from San Diego, and yes, it is raining and cold down in San Diego. Not so sunny these days. So, anyway, hope you're all staying safe, as Joe mentioned before. All right, well, we're going to continue, and Joe did a great job setting up actually getting that stairs input. And now I'm going to take it from there and talk a little bit about monitoring your stairs reports, because that's going to be really important. So after you've submitted a stairs form or stairs report, you are going to have a number of different ways to monitor that status. So for coordinators, you're going to receive emails directly from ETS, and it will have the incident number and the status of your case. Make sure you hang on to that incident number. You're going to need that. You're also going to see all stairs submissions entered in TOMS you can select the search stairs action tab in the navigation menu, or you can pull the stairs and appeals report in TOMS. So there's a couple different ways. Now, once you've submitted a stairs report, you can send notes to the CDE. Yeah, you can talk to the CDE through the stairs module. It's pretty cool. It's a two-way communication. And so just keep that in mind. Also, the CDE or ETS might follow up with you and have additional questions for you or need additional information regarding that incident. So be on the lookout for that as well. And then finally, you have the ability to draft a stairs case. So you can gather, let's say you need to investigate, or you still want to talk to your success agent. So you're not ready to submit, but you want to draft because you have a little bit of the information. So you're able to draft that stairs case and not submit. And then you can go back and either follow through and complete that stairs report and submit, or you can actually delete it. So it's a nice feature to have. All right, well, the CAASPP and the ELPAC website has a stairs video tutorial. It's called Stairs and Appeals Process. And I'm going to show you where it is. I'm going to show you, and I got to make sure, going to ask my buddy Joe am I at my, oh, let me go back. Let me go back. Am I still sharing my screen?
I can see your stairs. I can see your presentation right here. You were just on Google.
Okay, let me go. Okay. Am I showing my CASP and ELPAC website?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Always very helpful. All right, so at the CASP and ELPAC website, I'm going to show you how to get there and so that you can bookmark it or you can know where this is. But under resources, the test security webpage is going to be found under the administration. And so test security, and that's going to be a lot of the resources that are in your resource guide today and that we're going to reference are on this page. Really important. And the stairs video tutorial that I just referenced is on this page. And if we jump to the stairs, what I like is there's these tabs. So if I jump to the stairs appeals process on the right-hand navigation, I go right to that section and you'll see the stairs and appeals process. What I also like is there's a quick reference guide. It's a one-pager that gives you the steps on how to submit that stairs incident report. And then there's even a quick reference guide on how to check the status of your stairs. So everything I just covered, you have the references right here. And depending on your local process for reporting incidents into stairs, you might want to use this video and the two quick reference guides to train your test site coordinators. So it's there for you. And again, it's on the test security website. Okay, on the CAASPP and ELPAC website. It's on the test security webpage. All right, I'm going to go back to am I back onto the PowerPoint, Joe?
Yes.
I see a nod.
Yes.
Okay, I'm putting Joe to work. All right.
Didn't say I was going to have to do all this work.
I know,
I
I'm
didn't
going
sign
to
up for
call
this.
on you. Don't fall asleep on me. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about when you don't submit a stairs. Okay, so the situations involving unauthorized electronic devices, it comes up a lot. And so we want to highlight this. If a student was actively engaged in a test session and used an electronic device or a phone, you will report a stairs. No questions. It is definitely a stairs incident report that you will submit. If the student's actively engaged and pulls out a phone or uses they have their smartwatch, just an unauthorized device, that is definitely a stairs report. Now, okay, here's the scenario. If a student used an electronic device after they have completed testing, you will not report it. Okay? So the student finished their test and then they go to their backpack and grab their smartphone. And the teacher finds them with the smartphone. That doesn't necessarily need to be reported through stairs. Okay. However, if the student completed the test, the student uses an electronic device and helps their buddy who was still engaged in the test session, then you do report the stairs incident. So you can see that depending on the situation involving an unauthorized electronic device, there's going to be some times where you're definitely going to report the stairs, no question. But then there's other instances where you're going to have to do some investigation. And if it is verified that the student helped, that even though they were done with the test and they helped their neighbor, then you would definitely need to report that. I know it's not that easy. So you can see you might have some unique situations and it's not going to be black and white. So talking to your success agent, your LEA success agent is going to be your basically your best friend during this time. That person can help you determine the best plan of action, can be a thought partner. Now, what you'll want to do, and this is a tip, to streamline and to save time, you're going to want to gather all the information. You're going to talk to this test site coordinator. You're going to talk to the teachers involved. You're going to do your investigation, pull all the facts, okay? Then call your LEA success agent and have all that information. And then the LEA success agent is going to help you and also give you additional guidance, okay? So the bottom line is we want you to ensure that you're completing those stairs cases correctly so that we don't want student results to be unnecessarily invalidated. And that's the bottom line, right? Okay, so security incident protocols, they're going to vary across LEAs. Joe used the example at his prior LEA. It was very large, so he handled things a little bit differently. In a smaller environment, all of those security incident reports go through Joe. So it varies across LEAs. So as you plan for security, you really want to identify, number one, who is going to be responsible for reporting incidents in stairs? Is it going to be the responsibility of your site test coordinators to enter stairs? Now, I do have to say, if the incident is high in severity, you are going to want to be involved from the get-go so that you can ensure it doesn't happen again. So definitely you need to be involved. And actually, the CDE recommends that LEA coordinators review all stairs cases before submission. And the reason why is that some stairs cases are very difficult to reverse. Like the invalidate, especially if it's at the tail end of the window and the window happens, it could get really, it could be a problem. So if you're unsure whether something should be reported, you want to contact your LEA success agent. And that's another thing is you have direct access to the LEA success agent. Your test coordinators do not. So you want them to report to you. You do the final investigation, you involve the success agent if necessary, and then report the stairs case. Now, the coordinator how-to hub, the coordinator how-to hub that we've put a link in your resource guide, there is some great videos and resources on the stairs reporting process that you might want to take a look at. Now, when I was an LEA coordinator in a very large district, the majority of our incidents reported were due to tests expiring. So that reopen appeal that Joe was talking about, that was the most popular incident and appeal. So what I did is I trained my test site coordinators on how to submit stairs reports for expired tests because it wasn't as severe. It wasn't a breach in security. It just was something that needed to happen so that they could finish testing the student. I did a lot of training around that. Now, they would notify me that that stairs report was being submitted, but they actually would go in and do the stairs report themselves. I would get that email from ETS, so I knew that it had been submitted and I could monitor, but it was a training that I would do with my site test coordinators because for all of those to funnel through me, it would have been unrealistic. And then all the severe, like all of those irregularities or breaches with higher severity, definitely they had to talk to me and we would do the stairs report together. Now, test security is required as part of the annual training for CAASPP and for ELPAC. And training on security should include teachers, proctors, your technology assistants, anyone who is involved in testing or the secure materials. And part of the training, you want to consider your local context. Again, how are those incidents going to be reported to you as the LEA coordinator? Are your test site coordinators going to enter incidents into stairs, or will that all fall on you as the LEA coordinator? Do you want how are you going to handle the um, different security issues and how those are reported? Who will those be reported to? What process do you have in place? And then also think about guidance for secure materials and how those are stored. So, in addition to training staff, we also want to think about our students, right? We want to establish rules and expectations during testing. We want to be proactive, not reactive. And so, how should students behave during testing? Well, um, they should, they should know those expectations well before testing begins. What are they going to do when they're done with testing? What's the process for teachers in the classroom? What should they do with their cell phones or other electronic devices? So all of these things need to be communicated to students, and understanding those expectations will help avoid a lot of problems and headaches. um, Let me tell you, STARS reports can consume a lot of your time. So the more you can do ahead of time and avoid them, the better off you are. Um, I do want to highlight two resources that can help you with your training for test security. And one of them is the test security guidelines video. We've put a link, but I'm going to show you where it is. And then the other is the CAASPP and ELPAC test security auditor questionnaire. So let me just show you where those are. And again, I'm going to go to my handy dandy test security. So I'm on the test security website. And Joe, I need two thumbs up if I'm on the website. Okay, thanks. So on the test security webpage, if you look at the very first video, it's a 10-minute video. One is for test administrators and one is for test coordinators. Great resource to train your folks. You can have them watch this video and they will get a nice overview of the test security guidelines. And one is geared for your test site coordinators, which is a little bit different than those in the classroom administering the test. The next resource that I mentioned that will really help you putting together your training is we call it the test audit questionnaire or audit questions. So this is great. A long time ago, this was not posted, but basically you have all the questions if you were ever to be audited that will be asked of you or your sites. And so why not go to those questions and go through those? And that will help you understand if an auditor is looking for this, I should be looking for this, and making sure that we have everything tight and that there's no room for any security breaches or irregularities. So this is a great reference. So it's at the bottom of the test security page. Okay, I'm going to go back because we are, okay. So am I back on the PowerPoint, Joe? Sorry. I am putting Joe to work. He's trying to answer questions. I can tell he's like typing away on the
Do you see the
Q&A.
smoke coming out of my head? That's pretty funny. I'm thinking hard.
And I
And you
keep
look at, I see your
interrupting him.
presentation. I see your presentation. You're good.
Okay, thanks. I like to keep Joe on his toes. Somebody's got to do it, right? All right. So one of the things that you have to have is evidence of of staff training. So we recommend that you document. First of all, keep copies of your training materials, your PowerPoints, the agenda. Have that handy. Also, keep and maintain your sign-in sheets. So it's really important that you have evidence of who attended your trainings. Now, for Moodle training, you can download a file of those certificates for your California alternate assessment and your ELPAC because your test examiners go through the Moodle calibration trainings and those courses. So you can actually download and have evidence that they attended those required trainings in Moodle. So you might be asked to provide that documentation that your staff have attended your trainings during, if you're audited. So ETS, they might have a little audit and they'll ask for that. Also, if there's been a testing incident and it needs to be investigated by your district, and you'll have that handy. All right. Okay. Oh my goodness. We have one more topic before we end, and that is monitoring testing. So we talked a lot about really managing incidents that may occur during testing, but you also want to monitor testing and make sure that your kids are getting tested, right? We want to hit that 100%. And so we want to make sure that your school sites are progressing in their testing during the testing window. Okay, so there's two types of monitoring that you need to do and you need to assist your site coordinators with. And we're going to call it forest in the trees. Okay, just bear with me. So first, the types of monitoring, there's some reports that are going to be more of a forest where you zoom out and you have a real high level view of where your district and your schools are. And it will give you the grade and test completion. You're going to have completion rates by schools. That's going to help you. You're going to compare those to the site testing schedules and make sure that your school sites are on track. So that's kind of a high level kind of forest. The other type of monitoring is the trees. You're going to drill down and you're going to zoom in to the individual student completions. Okay, so there's both that are available, and we're going to go through those. And as you monitor testing, you're going to learn real quickly which test site coordinators are going to need more support than others. Okay, all right, let's first talk about TOMS. TOMS has a few reports available to help you monitor testing. First, My TOMS at a Glance. It's great. It's a dashboard located on the landing page. You log into TOMS, and it provides you a nightly upload or update on the percentage of completed tests. It's great at a glance. It tells you kind of where you are in the testing window. The data is based on the number of students eligible or assigned to take a test, and it's at a glance. So again, that forest, you're zooming out and you see the forest. Next, in the Reports tab in TOMS, you have first the Student Completion Status Summary Report. And this report, again, is a forest report. It provides aggregate information about the testing status. It's updated nightly. It includes data at both the LEA and school level. Okay, now there's a tree report. I hope people don't quote me and say forest trees. Where is it in TOMS? It's an analogy. All right. So the student completion status report, this is where you drill down and you get student level data. All right. It details the student statuses as of the prior day. So it kind of has a lag. So it's based on the prior day, and it includes information on all students enrolled in the LEA, and it's organized by school. Okay. All right. That was all that's in TOMS. Now, we just reviewed those reports in TOMS, but now we need to talk about TIDE. Yes, there are other reports, and they're available in the Test Information Distribution Engine that we call TIDE. And this provides real-time information on test completion. TOMS completion reports, so the reports I described on the prior slide, those might not match exactly, precisely the reports found in TIDE. And it's because the TOMS reports, those are derived from student test registrations and assignments. And then the reports in TIDE are derived from current CalPADS enrollment information. Both are important, slightly different vantage point, One's not better than the other. It's good to be familiar with all of them, but I just wanted to point that out. Now, under the completion status report and TIDE, you're going to find first the test completion rates. This summarizes the number and percentage of students who have started or completed a test. So that's going to be your forest. Zooming out, it's going to give you a high level information about where your schools are, where your LEA is in terms of the percentage of students who have started or completed a test. Now, we want to zoom in and get student level, the trees. Plan and manage testing is the report to go to. And this offers detailed information on individual student test opportunities and their statuses. And I have to say, this is the one test you've got to train your site test coordinators on. Plan and manage testing. And here's why. It will tell you the student level, have the student name, and it will tell you for that test if they've completed it, if it's expired or if it's about to be expired. It tells you if it's been submitted. So that test status is going to give you a lot of information. As the test site coordinator, it's going to also help them with scheduling makeup tests. So it's really an important report that you want to train your site test coordinators so that they're monitoring and they're managing their school's attendance. If all of the fourth graders except 3 students have completed, this is the report that will tell you that, so that the test site coordinator can then have a makeup test next week for those 3 students. There's also the search by SSID. So if you're investigating a student about to do a STAIRS report, you have their SSID, you can look up that individual student and actually see their test status. That's going to be really key when submitting a STAIRS report. So these are very important, and it's going to help you in the long run, especially avoiding those expired tests. All right, that was a lot of information, a lot. And we flew through that last bit, but we have one more thing to do before we address some of your questions, and that is homework. And so, first and foremost, we recommend reviewing the incidents and definitions for breaches, irregularities, and improprieties in the Security Incidents and Appeals Procedure Guide. We've put that link in your resource guide, and it is really key. And I believe the resource guide also, it has a description of each of these types. And so it's really important that you become familiar so that you feel confident and equipped. So when things happen, you know what to do. Next, review the security incident reporting process used in your LEA in prior years. Yes, you might be new at your district, but hey, find out what the prior process was. And if you don't know what that prior process was, you can talk to your seasoned veteran test site coordinators or principals. They all know how things were handled with the incident reporting process. So it's important to kind of review what was done in the past and then develop your reporting procedures. You might continue doing the same process, you might tweak it a bit, but it's important that you do have a process for reporting security incidents, for training, making sure that everyone that's communicated, that process is well known, and that your site test coordinators and your test administrators, your test examiners are all equipped and know exactly what to do in the case of an incident or something that happens. So be sure to include a review of those incident types in your training, examples of issues that might occur. I used to have training where we would have scenarios and we would have people kind of talk about how they would handle a specific scenario. So make sure that there's clear directions for reporting. And then finally, It's essential to review your process for monitoring test completion. And so all of these things are your homework, which I don't think is busy work. It's really valuable information, and it will set you up for success because that's what we want. We want you to have a successful, smooth testing administration. And the more you know on this end and the more you can prepare, the better equipped you'll be. So with that, I know we probably only have a couple minutes for questions. So I'm going to ask Joe if there's any in the Q&A that he thinks we need to discuss.
There's one that it popped up. It was super popular when you were talking about Tide. And so the question, we got multiple questions about how do we access that? And so I actually just to knock it out, I put it into the chat instead. So the way I like to access it is when we're in Tom's, I log into Tom's. I like to say on the blue bar, when we're inside of Tom's, you're going to see links. And when you click on links, you're going to see completion status in there. And the beautiful thing about it is that your single sign, I like to do this because that's my single sign on sign, takes you in, and it is amazing. This website, it gives you some really great updated reports. So there's one that I just absolutely love. It's a completion status report, and it's like a summary. It just gives you a bunch of different assessments all in one spot. But once again, I like to go in through Tom's, log in, click on links, and then click on completion status, and that'll take everybody to Tide.
And on the CAASPP, if I'm showing my website,
Yep,
on the
we can see it.
CAASPP and ELPAC website under Tom's, so I went under resources, Tom's resources. If you scroll down, there's the completion status system. You can log directly in or go through Tom's. But I do want to point out this, you definitely want to review. You want to look at the guide to completion status. And so that will show you screenshots and exactly how to navigate Tide and pull up plan and manage, as well as the completion rates. So this is definitely the guide that you want to access.
And so we had another, so Tyler just made a really great point in here. He also said from system links at the very top, on your, sorry, the page you were just on, since you were already sharing.
Okay.
You frazzled me earlier, so I'm going to frazzle. I'm kidding.
All right,
But
system links up at the
system
top,
links,
and you can see
completion status. Well, boom.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tyler. Once again,
Thank you.
ETS to the rescue.
Yes. So that's how you access and you log in with your Tom's login information. But I do want to say the guide to completion status is going to also be a nice supplement and help you navigate. It's a great guide. And you'll notice on this same page, the Security Incidents and Appeals Procedure Guide, that's another one we want you to review. So these two right here, completion status and the Incidents and Appeals Procedure Guide are going to help you with with all of those topics that we've covered today. Any other questions in the Q&A that we have? Or are we ready? Are we at time, Paul?
We are, yeah. Unfortunately, we have a couple of minutes left. But yeah, like Joe said, a good chunk of those questions that came through were regarding Tide. So it looked like you guys answered it. All righty. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Aaron. And thank you, everyone, for submitting your questions. And before we wrap it up, we'd like to promote some upcoming trainings. And all the links or the links for these trainings are in your resource guide. First, we have the new coordinator webinar again, and that's April 16th. And we're going to discuss feedback or gathering feedback after testing and preparing to receive scores. So you don't want to miss that one for sure. That's going to be a good one. And then there's the coffee sessions on March 10th and April 14th. And these virtual sessions are hosted by CDE and ETS, and they offer plenty of opportunities to ask questions, get answers about assessments, trainings, and resources, and more. Definitely a great resource right there. And also there is another training from ETS called Connect for Success. Now, this one is where you get to meet your success agent, And sometimes they have it specific for regions, or sometimes it's just 1 through 11. So check that out. The link is in the resource guide, and see if this is a perfect training for you as well. All righty. And next, if you haven't already, we would like for you to sign up for the Assessment Spotlight emails, and you'll find instructions in your guide. Also, you can follow the CDE on X at CDE Assessments, and you can also connect with CDE on Instagram. And the links are in your guide. And that should bring us to the end there. Yep. Wow. We hope that the information that was shared today was helpful and timely. We always want to remind you that you're not alone in this work, and you can reach out to the networks of coordinators in similar roles throughout the state. You have your LEA success agents. You always have staff at the CDE ready and available to answer your questions. We also have a post evaluation. If you could please give us a couple of minutes, that would be great. And with that, on behalf of CDE and my colleagues, Aaron and Joe, we thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you at the next webinar. Take good care and have a great afternoon, everyone.
Bye, everyone.